Well, we're a little bit past 9 o'clock here, so I think we'll get started. As pastor of Tabor Lutheran Church, I would just like to welcome each and every one of you here to the Spare Society Forum. This is my first one that I've been at, Pastor Warren, so excited to be here. I want to give a little credit to somebody. Loyal Dairut called me some time ago, wondering if we would be interested in hosting it up here. And I said, I don't even think I need to ask the board. I think I'll say yes. So that's why we're here. Kind of a remote part of South Dakota here. And hopefully there'll be more people coming to this event too. But we really want to welcome each and every one of you this morning. We're going to sing a hymn a little bit, but Pastor Warren asked if I would share a little devotional, a little history, and he's going to be right after me, so I'm probably going to cut into his time. So I'll draw your attention to this scrapbook that my wife put together years ago at one of our anniversaries, and it'll be back in the back part with some different information. And take a look at this. The pages are kind of falling apart, but there's a lot of really neat information, and two of my children are here, and you can see pictures of them when they were little, and pictures of me when I was much younger and thinner than I am now. But one thing that really spoke to me was, I think it was our 100th year anniversary, and when Pastor Lee was the president of the AFLC, and I just want to read this as part of my devotional this morning. Dear friends, one generation will commend your works to another. They will tell of your mighty acts. Psalm 145:4. Greetings from your AFLC family. An anniversary celebration offers a wonderful opportunity to remember the heritage of a congregation and pass it on to a new generation. Tabor is a pioneer Lutheran Free Church congregation, yet we determined at no little cost to continue to follow our fundamental principles, and God has blessed your efforts to build a free and living congregation. May this centennial celebration be marked by remembering and refreshing as you commit yourselves anew to Christ and His service. Sincerely, Robert L. Lee, AFLC President. As I read that, I remembered reading in some of the required reading for Summer Institute this coming up in a week, something that I read in here, and I thought it's quite lengthy, but I think it's really good. If you're a church planter, you're establishing your church's history. If you're pastoring a previous existing church, especially if you're a new pastor, you can't ignore the dynamics of your church's history. This is especially true in small towns, which tend to have long memories. This applies in big cities too, because small churches have long memories. These memories can be a blessing or a curse. You won't know which until you expose them. I've heard many stories of pastors who have struggled to overcome their small church's history while trying to move forward. And yet, a church's history can be a great foundation to build upon. Several years ago, our church celebrated its 50th anniversary. While going through some of the church's founding documents, I came across a newspaper article that was printed shortly after the church started. The article was titled, "The Church Can Reach Delinquents." If you were born after 1980, you may not have heard the terms delinquents or juvenile delinquents, which have been replaced by terms like at-risk youth. When I looked at this headline, a broad grin crossed my face. This is the current pastor of this church, by the way. When I looked at the headline, a broad grin crossed my face. Here in black and white was evidence that the work we were now doing with our skateboard park, preschool, extended daycare, and other youth programs was right on target with the original stated purposes of the church to reach young people, especially those at risk. If you're trying to do new visionary ministry in a stubborn, backward-looking church, dragging the church into the future and undermining the foundations isn't the solution. Instead, take a deeper look at those foundations. Discover the original life-giving, faith-building heartbeat of the brave founders who dared to listen to the new things God was doing in their time. Churches aren't founded by vision killers, settlers, or supporters of the status quo. They're started by visionaries, pioneers, and revolutionaries, the ones who left the status quo to launch new ministry, to reach new people. If you look deep enough, you'll find statements from your church's founders that give you a look into their hearts and their passions. From the church can reach delinquents to we want to reach our community and our world for Jesus. Your church's archives may be a treasure chest that honors your past and propels you forward. If you're in a denominational church, you can find the same inspiration from its founders. Use them to remind your church of the revolutionary methods of Martin Luther, John Wesley, William Booth, Annie Stemple McPherson, or whoever your founders might be, including Sverdrup, all that. Then stay true to their vision, not by slavishly copying what they did, but daring to think the way they thought. Adapt the eternal truths of the gospel to a new era and maybe a new reformation. I thought that really applied to our church, and it really applies to what the Sverdrup Society is all about. So I thought that was pretty precious. As far as our scripture, I was drawn to 2 Timothy, or maybe I mixed up, 1 Timothy. Many of you are probably familiar with this. No, it's 2 Timothy, chapter 1. I thank God whom I serve with this clear conscience, the way my forefathers did. I constantly remember you in my prayers night and day, longing to see you even as I recall your tears, so that I may be filled with joy. For I am mindful of the sincere faith within you, which first dwelt in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I am sure that it is in you as well. For this reason I remind you to kindle afresh the gift of God which is in you, through the laying on of hands. For God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power and love and discipline. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this event when we can look back to some of our heritage of the Lutheran Free Church, which became the AFLC. Help us, Lord Jesus, to hang on and continue to do those things which are first and foremost giving glory to you from our past. And then, Lord, help us to constantly be reminded that the foundation needs to be your word in all these things. So I thank you for all that are here, and maybe some who are still coming, and give all of us traveling mercy. And then, Lord, just give us a clear mind and open mind to hear what some of our founders had to say in their day that applies to us today too. So thank you for this opportunity we have. In your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Grab your bindles if you would. It's either a green or a blue one. And thought we would sing number 272.
Sweetest
before Pastor Horn comes up, the other thing I was supposed to do is give a little history, and I'll try to keep it brief. But if you happen to be traveling on Highway 25, which is the highway east of here, there is a historical marker along there, and it talks about one of the charter members of Tabor Church, a lady by the name of Betsy Gallagher. And there's a few Gallaghers that are involved in Tabor Church and in the AFLC. But anyway, Betsy came from Glenwood, Minnesota. Her husband had committed suicide, and so she was left as a widow with 5 young children. And her dad had also just passed away, so her mother, Guri, came with, and they came to South Dakota to homestead. And she was truly a pioneer woman. Just to fast forward a little bit, things didn't turn out real well because they got caught in a prairie fire after they were here for 2-3 years. And her mom, Guri, Betsy's mom, Guri, passed away. But she was spared and the kids were spared. She was extremely burned and just about died, but she survived. And she, at the time, was courting my great-grandfather, John McCarlson. And they were planning to get married. But after she got burned, she says, "No, I'm crippled, you can't marry me. You wait a year and you marry my daughter." So John McCarlson, who was close to 40 years old, married Betsy's daughter, Sophie. And that's where my heritage comes from. But Betsy survived, and she lived on. And it was back in the day when there was circuit rider preachers that would cover multiple churches. And Betsy was one who was very determined that Christian education was very important in the church. So there was a wagon that had been rigged up that she could roll her wheelchair into the wagon and attach it, and then she would drive the horses up here, and she taught confirmation up here on the hill. So quite a heritage that we have here at Tabor. And Tabor, for as long as I know, and what Pastor Lee, and he would be one who would know for sure, that I think from its inception was a Lutheran Free Church, and then it became an AFLC church. So quite a story about Betsy Gallagher. It's on that sign out, that historical marker out, just by the Grenville Road, we call it. So if you want to read that a little bit more in depth, then there's some articles in this scrapbook that Julie put together too that you can take a look at, along with other information back there. I just thought that was a little tidbit I would share about some of our history of our church. This church has always been known for its music. For many, many years, we had a lady that was our organist and choir director. And if I remember right, at one time, this church had at least 4 choirs at one time. We had a young little kids choir, can't remember what it was called. Cherub choir, a youth choir, actually 5. The youth choir, the senior choir, men's chorus, and a women's chorus. So, and Carol directed everything from that piano. She didn't have to get up and direct. The way she played, you could just follow her so well. And my wife and I and all my kids were in the choir at different times. Other people, Debbie, Leanne, Lori, you never were, I think, in the choir. But so some good memories. So music has been a big part of this church. Like I said, I could ramble on and on, but I'm going to quit. So Carol wrote a song, and we're not going to sing it, but I just wanted to share the words of this with you. Carol wrote this song for our anniversary. "I know a little country church was built upon a hill by the pioneers who labored there as they sought to do God's will. They wanted most a house of God with doors that opened wide, to sing, to pray, and worship there inside." And then the chorus is Tabor Church, I lost my place, built upon the high and windy hill. God has blessed the many people as they come to hear the word and to sing the mighty praises to the Lord. So a song that Carol wrote for her anniversary. So with that, I'll turn it over to Pastor Marty Horn for our first session. So thank you.